Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. Dr. Joe Salustio back with you on another episode here as we are recording live. Yes, I said live at Element451.
Engage!
In Raleigh, North Carolina. Episode 2 of my stint here. I will tell you where we are recording here at Market Hall in downtown Raleigh is absolutely tremendously beautiful as a venue, and it is packed with engagers. I don't know, summiters, engaged summiters. We're going to call them something, but they're here talking about Element451, the product, and really what the future of higher education holds. And we're talking a lot about AI, and I've seen and heard some of the sessions already going on. I've got an incredible guest for you to hear from. We're going to hear a little bit about his role. And in fact, we interviewed his president on episode 445 about 1 year ago. What's today? The 27th. 1 year ago. Her name is Janet Spriggs, Dr. Janet Spriggs, and she's the president of Forsyth Technical Community College, but she's not here today. Who is here is Devin Purgason. He's the executive director of marketing and student care at Forsyth Technical Community College. Devin, what's going on?
Oh my goodness, I'm so on. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, it's really fun when we can interview a college president and then one of the staff, one of their leadership team comes on the podcast in some other venue after a time, because I got the download from Jenna on what was happening at Forsyth Technical Community College, but it's been a year later.
Yeah.
And things change really fast right now in higher ed. So let's start from the beginning.
Yeah. Where
is the community college located? Who do you serve? How do you serve them?
Absolutely. So Forsyth Tech Community College, we are located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We serve about 22,000 students, and we serve everyone from the age of 14 in our dual enrollment programs to people that want to learn a new hobby or learn a new trade or a new skill. At our commencement, our youngest graduate was 16 years old. And our oldest graduate was 77 years old. So
amazing.
We have quite an extensive community of learners.
I always say one of the most valuable things in higher ed, one of the best feelings you could ever have, is watching an adult student get a degree when their kids or grandkids are in the audience cheering for them. It's a complete flip of everything that we ever experienced in higher ed, even ourselves, right? And that's such a huge moment for families.
Absolutely. Speaking of commencement, Dr. Janet Spriggs, she was there, this past May, and a mother and daughter both graduated same time, walked across the stage. She took a picture with both of them, and it was just one of those magical moments where we saw like this intergenerational commitment to learning and pursuing their careers.
So talk about your role a little bit?
Sure.
And what your oversight entails. You have a really, I thought when I saw this on the agenda, I said executive director of marketing and student care. That's unique.
Yeah.
Let's hear about it.
Yeah. So obviously marketing, that piece I oversee our public relations, communications, and sort of outreach areas. But then student care is one of those interesting pieces. We just started this about a year ago, this division. And what we sort of imagined was this almost concierge service for our students. So when a student has a question, no matter where they are in their journey, who do they go to? It's this front door. The people that are calling on the phones, the people that are sending chat messages, this whole team is sort of that contact center for them. So
why was that important to create? Where did that come from? How did it ideate?
Absolutely. So we saw the need for a centralized space for our students. Happens a lot of times in higher education and colleges and universities, silos. Mm-hmm. We've heard that word a lot. We know that. And so, some students were getting some information from over here in this area, and it wasn't accurate or, could you imagine? Yeah. And then, we saw the need to sort of unify that. And
then what comes from that is internal manifested barriers, right?
Yes.
Because the student goes, I'm not sure where to get that. And then somebody else sets up a process because they think that's what the process needs to be. And it creates a barrier that didn't need to exist.
Absolutely.
And then it's built up over time like bricks.
Uh-huh.
And you got to break those barriers down. Is that what you're doing?
Exactly. And that's the whole thing about a community college. That's one of the things I think that makes community colleges unique. We are especially positioned to break barriers for people no matter where they are in their life. If they have children, if they have transportation issues, no matter what, we are here to sort of bridge that gap and break down those barriers. That's our goal, and that was our vision for our student care team.
I like your style, dude.
When we say student care, it means so many things.
Right.
It can't just mean, although in concept, we're going to move them through faster. We're going to break down the barriers.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you get to know those students, especially in the front end of the life cycle, they get to know you and they go, Devin, I'm really having trouble with this, or I'm having trouble with that. If you pass them off, they can get lost in that pass off.
Exactly.
Are you walking them and shepherding them to each spot to make sure that it's like a warm transfer, right?
You nailed it. You nailed it. Instead of one of those front desk, hey, where do I go to do this? It's down that hall to the left and then to the right.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a personalized touch. Hey, wait, who's your advisor?
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm going to call them and I'm going to bring them down so they can walk with you down the hall.
Yep.
It's just that extra touch that we're looking for. I think that's one of the reasons that it sort of fit into that marketing side.
It is an interesting pair up,
right?
Yeah.
Well, here's one of the reasons I've used this anecdote a lot. John F. Kennedy, when he was visiting the space station, he saw a janitor sweeping the floor,
Mm-hmm.
and he walked up to him and he said, "So, what's your job here?" And he said, "Mr. President, I'm sending a man to the moon." And it's sort of this unified vision. No matter who we are, no matter where we are in our organization, we have this unified vision of making our students successful, helping our students be successful, loving them to success. And so that is sort of the whole vision with bringing it together with marketing in that area.
Oh, yeah.
I love your passion. And when we talk about higher ed, a lot of times we lose the fact that the student is the consumer.
Yes.
All right. So if they're buying something we are selling, because they don't have to,
Right.
They don't have to buy it. They don't have to buy it from your college or any other college.
Mm-hmm.
They choose to buy it. And if they choose to buy it, they expect some level of service, psychological level of service. If
Yes.
I do this, I get this. If I do that, I get this. In higher ed of old,
Mm-hmm.
if higher ed didn't deliver, if your community college didn't deliver, that student would go, well, there isn't anywhere else to go. And the leverage was all in the hands of the college or the university. And now that is not the case. The leverage is in the hands of the students. So you have to give them the service they need to stay. Every interaction, I've said it to my school and folks at my school too, every interaction we have with a student either evolves or dissipates their relationship with the university. Every conversation, every interaction.
Yes.
How do you build that within staff? Because so much of that is change management. So when you're
Absolutely.
talking about student care and you're talking about marketing, which it really is, it's a marketing and sales process
Yes.
to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an educator or I'm an administrator. I see students, but I don't really see it that way. How do you build that change management internally?
Absolutely. So I think, I've mentioned her. We've mentioned her multiple times, but I think it comes really from the leadership. And Dr. Spriggs has
Shout out to Dr. Spriggs.
Shout out to Dr. Spriggs. We love her.
Epic.
She is epic. Dr. Spriggs, when she came to Forsyth Tech, we really created this vision of being a catalyst for equitable economic mobility, empowering lives, and transforming communities. And that is something that our entire college, the faculty and staff, we have rallied around that vision, around that strategic plan to helping our students be as successful as possible. And I really think that if we did not have that synergized leadership with her, that really wouldn't be possible.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
It always does start at the top.
Yes.
What are you doing here? What are you doing at the conference? Why'd you decide to come? What do you hope to learn? Tell me how it's going so far.
Well, I came here to be on your podcast.
Bullseye.
I was saving that one.
No, right, yeah. So we were the first community college in North Carolina to onboard with Element451 as our CRM, our engagement platform, and so we are. I call myself
super users.
Yes, like I'm an Element evangelist. I will tell the world about Element. I love this platform. It has created so many automated processes for us. It's given us data that we have utilized to fine tune our marketing efforts and things of that nature, to be able to personally communicate with students. So our student engagement has risen substantially, remarkably, because of this platform. And so that's the reason that I'm here today. I'm here to learn, to grow. One great thing about Element 451 is
Engage.
engage, is that Element is engaged with its users. And so what that means is that they are constantly evolving. They are constantly building. They're constantly adding features. They're listening to their customers, and they're saying, oh, we're that's a great idea. We're going to add that. We're going to add that. They have always listened to us when we come to them with, can we add this feature? We need to CC people on some of these emails. Can we add a CC feature? All of these different things. Well, Element 451 has released some incredible AI chatbot. It's Bolt Copilot, as well as BoltBot. I'm excited to learn about all these new features and how we can continue to utilize this platform to engage with our students and continue to help them.
All right. Well, that was impressive.
Being in marketing is a really interesting role in higher ed.
Right.
For a couple of reasons. Typically, higher ed marketers are undervalued. If you look at take another company, Google or Logitech, marketing, product, marketing, product. It's you're always selling that product.
Right.
In higher ed, marketing is or has been an afterthought.
Right.
And we have these academic programs, and we're going to put this little bit of money into marketing. What does marketing even mean? Is it brand? Is it Google? Is it right? So there's been a lack of definition around it. Well, all of a sudden there's this thing coming, and you've probably heard of it, the enrollment cliff.
Right.
Oh wait, I had a dun button. Anyway, I missed it. The enrollment cliff is coming, and all of a sudden we need to actively recruit students, and we need to do it in a way where we're selling and we're delivering. And marketers typically are not academics.
Right.
And so therefore you have the ability to play both sides. You can be involved in academy, as it were. You could find out the value propositions and programs.
Absolutely.
But you also have to go out and scour the landscape for what is coming that's ahead of higher ed and bring that into higher ed. How do you stay fresh? And is a conference like this help you stay fresh?
Absolutely. You're exactly right. The enrollment cliff is coming. It is imminent. We have all seen the graph at a presentation, at a conference. We know this.
I was a little late. Late, but I got there.
The sound effects are great. I love this. So one thing that we have been doing, obviously continuing to learn, professional development in those areas is essential. But what we have utilized is really seeing who are the people that need a college degree.
Yeah.
And what we have found is that's mostly there's a large group of folks that have some college but no degree. They're adult learners. They started the process, but they have not finished that credential.
Yep.
And so that's what we're focusing on. What were the barriers that made you stop, and how can we alleviate that?
Those are really good questions, because you're talking about now 40, and it's funny because I noticed it. I don't know what article came out. It was 1 week some college no degree, and then the next week it was some college no credential. It's like it flipped. It was Lumina or somebody put a little tag on it. What happened? How could you have 40 million people go to school and not make it?
Right.
Like, what did we do?
Yes.
What did we put in their way that we could take away now to make it easier for them to finish? And it's not the same as an 18-year-old going to college.
Right.
An 18-year-old going to college and going to residential and doing that whole thing. You're talking about an adult learner, and I've said it a million times on this podcast. You do totally different in the way you have to think.
Absolutely. We know, and something that we did, we actually took a group of folks that had stopped out during COVID, and we did focus groups. We said what, and it was a myriad of different things. Some it was they were unable to pay for the classes. They had a couple $100 on their account.
Yeah, lost their job, or family lost their job.
A lot of our students are flat tire away from not completing their semester and things like that. Childcare is a huge issue. If you're working a full-time job supporting your family, the modality and the time of some classes makes a huge difference. So we really went into that research piece with our students to sort of see what their needs were, to then mitigate those barriers for them.
Devin, you know, your job's really hard. Let me tell you why it's extra hard and why people in higher ed don't typically understand is because you're not just marketing about students coming for say technical community college. You're marketing about why higher education is still important.
Right.
It's a dual job. And it's like you can't do the second one without the first. I can't convince you to come to my technical college and community college if I don't convince you that higher ed still has value. And you've got all this noise.
Hey, kids, it's the internet.
Telling you that higher education doesn't have value.
Right.
And you're selling value. Now, it could be credential, it could be non-credit.
Yeah.
But you still put yourself in this environment. You know, one thing about higher ed, and you know this, if you're in the environment, you go to graduations, you become part of graduations, you all of a sudden go, oh, I got this itch, I'm going to get another degree, I'm going to finish, but I got to get you in the pipeline. So your job is way harder than it was even 3 years ago.
Right.
What do you think about that? Am I right or am I wrong?
Joe, you're always right. You're always right.
I really
I'm waiting
like
for a sound
you. I
effect.
got to tell you.
Yes.
No, you're exactly right. It has become increasingly difficult. I think one thing that we have done at Forsyth Tech is we have really dug into this idea of really combating poverty and how do we help folks maintain and achieve a family sustaining wage. That is what we are really focusing on, especially in Forsyth and Stokes counties. Those are the two counties that we serve. At Forsyth Tech Community College, we are looking at the individual needs of those counties, of our community, and how we can help assess and make a difference.
What's the biggest challenge you have marketing-wise at Forsyth? And does Element451 fill some of that gap for you because of its technology and its evolution?
Absolutely. So I think one thing that has been an increasingly difficult piece whenever it comes to marketing is really the amount of human power needed to make things happen. A lot of marketing teams are very slim. They're very slim, you know,
in higher ed. That's for sure.
Exactly. You've got a group of 3 people. You've got a graphic designer. You've got someone who does words.
It's fuzzy math.
And someone who you know, shuffles around some spreadsheets. And so it's really, really difficult to make a concerted, personalized approach to recruiting our students, getting them in the funnel, and working them through the funnel. What Element has done, it has really created a lot of those processes and automated them. It has created drip campaigns. We have been able to really create this web of communication flows in various mediums, from email, text, phone calls with actual people, and actually create that process and help us there. That has substantially helped us with recruitment, with enrollment, and also without hiring 15 people in our marketing department.
You're so right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at how slim the teams are in higher ed and higher ed marketing, they're very slim.
Yes.
And then you have to think about who you're not going to message to as much as you think about who you are going to message to.
Exactly.
Because you can't personalize all your messaging for every group, because it would be too hard with the staff you have to do that.
Right.
You would spend a year getting it ready, and then those student changes and they're in, they're out. You have to prioritize and go, you know what, we're going to leave that group of students for later. That's a bad place to be when you're facing recruitment challenges. And I'm talking about higher ed in general.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, this has been a pleasure. I have to tell you, my friend,
Yes,
I
sir.
really enjoyed it here. Ladies and gentlemen, he's my guest today. He's your guest today. He is Devin Purgason. He's the Executive Director of Marketing and Student Care at Forsyth Technical Community College. Devin, how did you feel about your first EdUp Experience episode?
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp'd.